Hi, everybody. My name is Rob Kent, and I am with CENTEGIX. We are the manufacturers of CrisisAlert. What I'd like to do today is just give you a little bit of background on the company, talk about sort of the context behind how we came up with the idea. I want to give you a demo of the solution so you can see how it works, and then just talk a little bit about what our PSAP integration looks like and what the installation and onboarding process is. So as far as context, we are a technology company. We are purpose-built in order to address the emergency notification problem. When we first started this, we actually started reselling other people's technologies. And so we started going through this process. We resold several different technologies. And in discussions with dozens, if not hundreds, of security professionals and superintendents, the feedback consistently we got from everyone is that there are significant gaps in the current solutions that are out there. So when we built CrisisAlert, the idea was, we wanted to try to address those issues that made those solutions less than adequate for the particular problems. And we could dive into a lot more detail, but just at a very high level. And we'll use mobile phone apps as the comparison, because the majority of solutions out there are going towards mobile phone apps. What we hear consistently across the board from people just like you are there's issues with like adoption rates, right? So you don't own the phone to your teachers. You can't force them to install an app. So essentially what you're saying is that, the child's safety is dependent on the voluntary adoption of this technology by your teachers. So to us, that's sort of a non-starter at the very beginning. From a technology perspective, we hear constantly that there are dead zones riddled throughout schools because, of course, a phone app requires either cellular or Wi-Fi to operate. So if you don't have signal, you can't call for help. Similar to that, from a technology perspective, these phones rely on GPS for location. And GPS is great to navigate to get to a building. But once you're inside of a building, GPS can't tell you where inside that building you are. And if there's multiple floors, it definitely can't distinguish between those multiple floors. And so we get feedback constantly that, from a location perspective, especially for emergency first responders, phones just don't cut it. And then also there's just this aspect of how usable is a mobile phone panic button app in the real world, right? So when you are in a situation, when your body goes into fight or flight, are you going to be able to get your phone, assuming you have it on you? Do you have the presence of mind to be able to find the app? Can you even unlock it? As you go into a panic, your fingers start sweating. Are you able to actually unlock your phone? I mean, we've heard from dozens of different people how that is a real issue. And in the moment, those phones become unpractical. So these are the problems that we were trying to solve when we built the CrisisAlert platform. Now, the other big thing that we were trying to solve for, it's not only that active shooter situation. Of course, that active shooter situation is super important, something we absolutely have to be prepared for, but it's not something that happens every single day. It's something that we want to address through ALYSSA'S law, of course, but there are other things that happen inside of the school every single day that require rapid notification, that require rapid response. Some of those things are life-threatening events, right? So when we built CrisisAlert, we wanted to make sure that it could apply to that hopefully never happens active shooter situation, and then all of those day-to-day things that happen, right? So as we go into the demo, I want to show you how we address both of those different scenarios. So what we have is a badge-based emergency notification system. So here's the badge here, the same size as an ID card or an access card. It's just a couple of credit cards thick. And as you can see, there's one button on it, right? And there's four key differentiators that we talk about. One is that one button activation. Right, so there's no phone, no app required. They don't have to install anything. As long as the teachers, as long as the staff has this badge, they can push the button and get help. Two, it's about total campus coverage. So we do not rely on Wi-Fi. We do not rely on cellular. We deploy our own equipment throughout the campus. We guarantee that you get coverage from the parking lot, everywhere inside of the building, to the athletic field. Anywhere on campus, push the button, you can get help. Related to that is how we deal with location. We don't rely on GPS. We rely on our equipment to provide location, no matter where that person is on campus, right? When they push the button, we can identify the specific location they're in, definitely to the room level. In practice, it's usually within about 15 or 20 feet of where they're actually standing. And we can distinguish between different floors as well. And then the other thing is audio and visual notification. And this is really, really crucial, especially when we're talking about ALYSSA'S law. ALYSSA'S law is great. It's fantastic. It's definitely a step in the right direction. It's obviously important to notify first responders as quickly as possible if there is an active shooter event that happens. The challenge comes in the first couple of minutes of that event, right? If we look at the data from the FBI, the average response time from your local emergency organization, once they're notified, is between about 3 and 8 minutes, 3 on the short side. The challenge with all these active shooter events is there's a huge volume of casualties that happen at the very beginning of these events. And look at Parkland as an example. In the first minute and 45 seconds of that event at Parkland, there were 24 casualties. If it takes emergency organizations about 3 minutes to respond on the fast side, there's no way that they can get there fast enough to intervene in order to be able to help in that first minute and 45 seconds, those first few minutes. That is why we link into lights and sounds. It is so imperative that everyone on campus knows that there's an event that's happening. Give them the opportunity to get to safety. Give them the opportunity to get behind a locked classroom door, behind a hard corner. There's never been a case where an active shooter has breached a locked classroom door. So that is the number one way to keep your kids safe in these kind of situations. This is why we link into lights and sounds, to let everyone know that something's happening. I'm going to show you exactly how that works. So what we have is one badge. This badge will allow you to do two different things. You can click to activate a staff alert, and you can click to activate a campus-wide alert. Now, staff alert, these are all those day-to-day things, right? This is the medical emergency. This is the fight. This is the irate parent. It's very simple. The staff member clicks the badge 3 times. And what I'm going to do is switch over and show you a live view. So here's a map of our office. This is our command console. Staff member presses the button 3 times. The badge actually vibrates to let them know that message has been delivered. It takes just a couple of seconds, and it pops up there and shows exactly where that person is standing when they click that button. You hear that audible alert that goes off on the mobile device. So your response team that is on your site, they get audible notification on their device. They also get a map on their phone as well that shows exactly where that person is standing, where they need to go to provide assistance. Fastest way possible to get that situational awareness to the people who need to know. Let me just shut this down. So that is for an active shooter situation. There's a couple of other integrations that we have as well. If your system supports it, we can tie into your 2-way radio system, broadcast a message there. But again, this is for your on-site response team. Just to put this in context, we have 1,200 sites that are live. We've had over 40,000 staff alerts that have been generated. So this is used every single day. Literally just this week, there was a customer that we have in Florida, and they used a staff alert to save a child's life. Child was out on the playground, a 4-year-old. They went unresponsive. They had a parapro there. Parapro went and started performing chest compressions on this child. As they're performing chest compressions, they reach out, activate their badge to call for help. Their on-site response team was able to come, take over. They were able to resuscitate the child. Here's the question. What if that same scenario happened and that parapro had a phone instead of a badge? 1, would they have even had the phone on them on the playground? 2, would they have had that app installed? 3, is it reasonable to assume that that person is going to stop doing chest compressions to get their phone, find an app that they don't use very often to call for help? That's why the power of this badge and the simplicity of it is so, so important. It gives people the ability to intervene very, very quickly to get the help that they need as soon as they can. All right, so that is the staff alert. The campus-wide alert. So this is the active shooter situation. It's the same badge. Instead of pressing it 3 times, they just continue to press the badge until the school goes into lockdown, right? Now, there's several different things that happen. I'm going to sort of walk you through them one at a time. First thing, your on-site response team does get that audible alert. They do get that map on their phone as well, so they know what's happening. I don't know if you can see on the video, but these strobes that are up here, so they start flashing red. Now, these strobes, we install those in every classroom. We put them in every hallway, at entrances, every 60 feet, at every intersection. We put them outside the school as well. In a bigger room, we're going to put multiple strobes. The idea is that anywhere someone is on site, we want them to be line of sight to one of these so they can see what's happening. These strobes also beep as well, so they get an audible alert. The other thing we do is we take over every single screen inside of the school. So every single screen gets this customizable lockdown message. So if you've got kids that are doing second language training or have headphones in, they're going to have this message right in front of them. Then we also broadcast the message over the intercom.
Lockdown, lockdown. Lock the doors. Stay away from the windows.
That message is completely customizable. You can play it in multiple languages. You can have it repeat, right? And so just to walk through it again, so that you activate it from this badge, these strobes, right, which we'll talk about in a minute, They're multicolor LED. They flash red for lockdown. They all start to flash and beep. We play that message over the intercom. We take over every screen. Then in addition to notifying your on-site response team, we also integrate with the local PSAP. This is where ALYSSA'S law comes in. There's several different ways that we can do that, all right? None of these have any additional cost. It really just depends on how the district and how the local emergency organization want to work together. We can take and install our software directly into the PSAP. So they can have a pop-up right there. So they're shown the map, they're shown the location, they're able to interact with dispatch and tell them exactly where they need to go. We can integrate directly with their CAD, and that can be done in a couple different ways. We can have a digital ticket that is sent to them. We can have a live voice and assisted call that calls them to translate and tell them where they need to respond to. We also integrate with a company called Mutual Link that does PSAP integration directly from the school district into multiple PSAPs. Again, several different options. Every single one of these is compliant with ALYSSA'S law. There's no additional cost. It really just depends on how do you and your local emergency organization want to work together. Just a couple other things to show you. So we have built a companion app as well. The difference between us and most other vendors, their app is their entire solution. For us, obviously, it is about the badge. It really revolves around this. This is what gives it ease of use. This is what gives location information. Through the app, you're able to trigger other types of alerts. So you can trigger lockouts. You can do shelter in place. You can do evacuate. It's all preloaded with protocols that are based on the I Love You Guys Foundation. It takes about 5 minutes, and you can customize them for your own protocols. You can also create drill protocols. So it allows you to do drill management as well. So you can do reporting on drills, and you can make sure that you separate your drills from the PSAP, so you're not going to be notifying them every time that there is a drill that happens. From a technology perspective, obviously there's lots going on in the background, but our engineers have actually done a really good job of making it simple for the end user. That gateway device that you see there in the bottom quadrant, that's the only thing that gets plugged into the network at the school. Typically it plugs into the server room, and it's just a straight Ethernet connection. It's used to communicate outbound to our cloud environment. Everything else inside communicates over a wireless mesh network, which is a combination of Bluetooth, low energy, and Zigbee. The combination of these protocols gives us really, really good range. We get about 800 feet, badge to beacon, and it gives us a self-healing network. So kids will be kids. If one of these fails, or a kid takes a baseball bat and bashes one of these out, it's not going to destroy the network. The network will continue to operate. People can still trigger alerts. Location will still be able to be identified. Because it's an emergency notification system, it's not okay for you to find out that a badge is not working when someone presses it. So we monitor every single device remotely. Someone inside of our company right now knows what the battery life is of this, how fast it's draining, when it needs to be replaced. All of these devices are battery operated. That battery will last 3 to 5 years. It gives us a few different benefits. One of the benefits is that it makes installation incredibly simple, right? They attach through a magnet onto the ceiling. We can do a installation in your school, in a decent sized high school, we can do it in about 6 hours. So very, very quick and simple installation. We provide all the training. We provide all of the material that you need to train all of your staff as well. Everything is 100% supported and warranted. All right, just to wrap up. So CENTEGIX CrisisAlert is the platform. We are the only non-app based vendor selected by the Florida DOE. Not only do we address ALYSSA'S law, but we go beyond ALYSSA'S law to notify people within inside of the building as well. And it's, again, very, very simple installation and very simple training. We've had districts up and running within 30 days. My information's at the bottom. Rob Kent. It is just rkent@centegix.com, or please call me, 678-323-9020. Would love to talk to you in a little bit more detail and see how we can get you on board. Thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it. I hope to hear from you soon.